Welcome to I Drink Your Podcast, where we drink and talk about movies from 2007.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker!
I don't remember seeing this movie.
What's your power? You don't got the power.
Keeps away the narwhals.
The only way to defeat a waffle is by making it a pancake.
This is one doodle that can't be undid, Holmes Gillett.
Now back to that ass.
Were you masturbating?
I drink your podcast. I drink it up.
Welcome to I Drink Your Podcast. You may notice I'm not Matt. He's dead to us. I'm just kidding. My name is Emily, and I'm taking over for Matt while he enjoys some alone time with his fiance and his dog. This week, we watched Good Luck Chuck, as you could tell with the episode title, obviously. And with me, as always, is the reigning Battle of Twits champion, Ben, and our moderator extraordinaire, Wesley. Hi, guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, I'm Wes.
Wesley and Ben, any interesting things in your glasses?
I'm drinking it's called a crush, and it's a type of sour, and this one is lemon, because I did not like this movie, so the sour taste that was left in my mouth by this movie is now being replicated by this drink.
Ooh.
Interesting.
That's kind of similar to me.
I'm about to have this right now. It's less of what's in my cup and more of what I'm going to put in my body. I found a drink that's apparently popular in North Dakota, but it's called a Chuck Norris, and we're going to have a Lucky Chuck. The Chuck Norris is apparently cherry vodka and some sort of energy drink. So I've got a very sugary Monster, and I'm going with a blue raspberry vodka. So in theme with Chuck being a dentist, this should give me some cavities and get me drunk. So I'm going to have this right now. Emily, are you drinking something special?
I am, but I'm kind of excited to watch you. Are you going to take that shot or?
Oh, yeah. Also, it's like a Jaeger bomb.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just going to watch this happen.
Yeah,
I'm super
drop it
excited. Do it. Oh, that's disgusting. Okay, well, I'm drinking Listerine, which is not the real Listerine. I'm drinking a drink that I called Listerine. So I have blue curacao and vodka and a bunch of Sprite, but then I have it garnished with mint. The main reason Wesley before the podcast was like, oh, I get it, because Chuck's a dentist. And I was like, yeah, that was the first goal. But also, as Ben said, I needed to wash the taste of this movie out of my mouth. It was so bad. So anyway, cheers, everyone.
Yeah.
Last week on our Ratatouille episode, we had an amazing guest, Bob, from the From Justin To Kane podcast. And this week, his co-host, Mike, is joining us. And we're super excited to have you. Hi, Mike.
Hello, how's everyone doing?
Real good.
Great.
Yeah.
Happy to have you on.
Yeah, we're super excited. Mike, do you have anything special in your glass?
We don't have a lot of booze in the house, but I am always excited to drink on a Sunday afternoon. So so I have a nude gin soda, and it's themed around the film because I was surprised at how much nudity was in this film.
Yes.
It was alarming to me.
As was I.
I found it alarming. And also it's gin soda, which this stuff is kind of flavorless and not satisfying. So I think we can all extrapolate what I mean by that.
Absolutely.
I love it. Well, Mike, our premise of our show is around movies from 2007, which, Good Luck Chuck is from 2007, unfortunately. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you were up to in 2007?
2007 was kind of a cool year for me. So I live in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And 2007, what was I? I graduated university. That kind of shows how old I am. Also, I was in a band, and we were touring around Canada. We went to New York and in the States and stuff. And we kind of got signed to a record label. It was a real quick thing. And then in 2008, I quit the band because I was like, I don't want to do this. So
wow,
it was fun being in a band and touring around and doing all that stuff. Also, I can't remember if it was 2007 or 6, but I was actually on the set of Good Luck Chuck briefly because they filmed it in Edmonton and my friend was a producer's assistant on it. So,
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. Hey, Ben, how do you feel about having a real person in a band on the podcast, unlike you?
I don't really know what you mean by that. We toured all throughout the Minneapolis metropolitan area. So
Sure.
The Minneapolis southwest suburbs.
right.
Not signed by a record deal. Cool, Mike.
No.
But similarly, Ben also dropped out of college in like 2007, I'm pretty sure. So
Yes, I did.
But now you're teaching people.
Yes, a different kind of pain.
what a great example for our youth.
Right.
Well, hey, Mike, you have a movie podcast, and so obviously you love film too. Tell us a little bit about your favorite movies.
Yeah. So favorite movies. I like. You know what? Synecdoche, New York is like probably one of my favorite movies. That's a 2008 movie. We just missed the podcast by a year. Mm-hmm. That's a great film. I'm actually a big Charlie Kaufman fan. I was really, really into Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind for the longest time. So those I like Charlie Kaufman movies. I actually haven't even seen his new movie, which is weird. I've just been waiting, I guess.
What's the new movie? I don't know.
I'm thinking of ending things.
Yeah, it just came out on Netflix. Yeah.
Right. I did hear about that.
I read the book to prepare for the movie, just as I read the book, The Orchid Thief, to prepare for adaptation when it came out. Mm-hmm. But
nice.
For some reason, I just haven't seen the new movie. But yeah. And then I really love Swiss Army Man. Have you guys seen Swiss Army Man?
Yes, I have seen that one.
That's like right up my alley. That's my vibe of film. Just
so like the drama, but it has a little bit of a fantastical twist to it.
Yeah, similarly to Good Luck Chuck, actually, but not executed so poorly. Because it's like, oh, this is a good concept. This is an interesting concept. High concept is always good, but nope, not so. But yeah, Wendy and Lucy, I would say, is also in my top 5. It's like Kelly Reichardt is the director. It's a drama. It's just about a woman who loses her dog in a city as she's on a road trip. And it's this very small, super low budget.
That sounds like sad. I would cry the whole time.
Yeah, I'm already sad.
Yeah, no, it's a wonderful film.
I would be so upset. If I'm in the mood to cry, I will definitely check it out. But Wesley, I'm sure you added like 10 movies to my list, huh?
Nah, I'm pretty lazy today.
Well, Mike, we're super excited to have you. And, the fact that you were on the set for Good Luck Chuck, maybe that's the reason you're excited to be here. But what about the movie made you excited to be on our podcast? Or maybe not the movie.
Well, the concept of me and Bob's podcast, as he may have mentioned, is that we watch one good movie and one bad movie, and we talk about how they're the same. So it's really just kind of an excuse to just hang out and talk about movies and not just have it be focused on one film. And then also kind of just do some weird improv idea of like, how do we just make this make sense? So yeah, he watched Ratatouille and then I watched Good Luck Chuck for the podcast, and they're both from 2007. So we're basically just trying to create a crossover between our two podcasts. So we'll have you guys on one day to talk about these two movies too. So yeah, awesome. And I looked on Letterboxd, and this was near the bottom of worst movies of 2007. So that's how I selected it. And I was like, oh, I have an interesting story about this. So
what did you actually like see or do on set?
Well, so all of the scenes in the Penguin Mountain that they had in the movie was filmed at the Alberta Film Studios, right across from McDonald's and Dairy Queen and like a bunch of condos and stuff. But it's historically where they filmed SCTV when it was filmed in Edmonton for a while. So
nice.
There's a lot of, if you ever watch SCTV and you're from Edmonton, for like a certain chunk of the series, you'll notice that there's a bunch of locations that you recognize because it was all filmed all over Edmonton, but they filmed all of the set stuff in this Alberta Film Studios. So they filmed Good Luck Chuck there. My friend was just in town when they were coming through for the week to just shoot all the Penguin stuff. And she just asked if I wanted to hang out. So I just I was literally doing nothing for the movie. I just came, like, hung out on set, ate snacks, looked at all the penguins. And then the best part of the day was I for some reason just hung out all day because I was waiting for her to get off work. So I hung out with Jessica Alba and Dane Cook's stand-ins all day.
How accurate were they?
They looked just like them. It was really surreal. And they were dressed like them. So you'd see Dane Cook and Jessica Alba walking around, and they were just, working and acting.
What did they have to have stand-ins for?
When they're setting up lights, the stand-in's just going to hang out so Jessica Alba can go I don't know, sit in her trailer and play video games or whatever she does. So I assume she's a huge gamer. Or no, she's planning her diaper empire because she's a diaper magnate right now.
Yep.
Yeah, the stand-ins were it was surreal to hang out with them because they looked just like them and they were dressed just like them, but they weren't them. They were the coolest people. They're just from Vancouver.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Again, Mike, thanks for being on. I'm super excited to have you, and I know the guys are too. We might just steal you and replace Matt.
Nice. I used to be a stand-up comedian, so
Yes, perfect. We're stealing you.
I've got the chops for sure. So I can. Okay. Nobody will know the difference, and people call me Matt sometimes because my name is so generic. So I won't even blink.
All right. So everyone who's listening, thank you for listening to our ramblings. If you haven't listened to the show before, during the first half of our podcast, we'll be discussing and reviewing Good Luck Chuck, although most of you already know how we feel about it.
It was great.
The second half features our Battle of Twits, which is a creative competition. And what's really exciting is Mike is going to participate. So Mike is going to go up against Ben. And we have a leaderboard going on. So our current leaderboard for Battle of Twits is Ben, Matt, and Wes all tied with 2 points. And who knows, Mike, you might join the leaderboard and we'll get you some cool things. So we watched Good Luck Chuck. As you know, it's directed by Mike Helfrich and featuring Dane Cook, Jessica Alba, Dan Fogler. And we're going to talk about how terrible this movie is.
Charlie Logan, you are not my boyfriend anymore. I hex you. You what? I hex you. You will never be happy. Around you, love will fall like rain. But you won't hold it. Your heart will pain. Once the girl has been with you, to the next she will be true. Is that Phil Collins?
Charlie, played by Dane Cook, a dentist, was cursed during a preteen party of Spin the Bottle for all his relationships to end in heartbreak for him and marriage for her. After meeting the girl of his dreams, Cam, played by Jessica Alba, at his ex's wedding, Charlie reconnects with her after she chips her tooth at work. Although Cam wants to pay Charlie for fixing her tooth, she reluctantly agrees to go out with him as payment. Do we want to start with these 10-year-olds playing Spin the Bottle?
Yeah, I think that's the best place to start.
I was uncomfortable from the get. So I'm going to do another Lucky Chuck.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, so it starts to Spin the Bottle, and the Spin the Bottle is just to choose your partner for 7 minutes in heaven. Do they have that game in Canada, Mike?
Yeah, they do actually. I was involved in, I think, one game of this once, and I was too shy to play it, so I just watched everybody kiss each other.
Okay.
So I was sad.
Hey, I'm happy that you participated because me personally, I have never seen a Spin the Bottle or 7 Minutes in Heaven played in person.
I have not either.
I have played many, many times.
Outside of your family.
I'm sorry. Oh, no, I've never played.
No, gross.
No, I grew up a theater kid, so theater kids are always looking for ways to explore their sexuality, and that was just one of them.
I think that's just your theater group because our theater group did not play Spin the Bottle. We played GoldenEye together.
Okay,
that's nice.
That's basically Spin the Bottle. Who's getting that job?
Our main character, Charlie, he gets sent into this closet with this girl who has like a gothic look to her. And she is very sexually aggressive. Can we agree on that?
Oh, yes. Unsettlingly so.
Yes.
As a 10-year-old, it was disturbing. As a not 10-year-old, as like an adult, it still is disturbing.
Yeah, there was a lot of sexual aggression being played out and we'll say sexual violence.
It was sexual assault for sure.
Yeah, she forced herself onto him, which is the opposite of what we see in Stu's 7 Minutes in Heaven experience, which is the girl basically just agreeing to say that he kissed her or touched her boob. What do they agree on?
Who cares?
Yeah, no one cares.
I literally forgot that happened because the Chuck part at least had something to do with the story, and I guess maybe the Stu part you could say alludes to him being a shitty person. But like, I honestly had forgotten that Stu child scene had even happened.
Hey, Mike, real quick, do you have any kids?
I do not know.
Wait, you don't know?
I don't know. I'm a bit of a
he was in a
character
band,
myself. So. Yeah.
Traveling the world.
Yeah.
Well, Ben has a kid. So just thinking about this, Ben, your child is not too far off from this 10-year-old scene.
Yeah.
Why did you, Emily?
Thanks, Emily, for bringing that up.
That's all I could think about, though. When I was 10, I was like running around outside hitting people with sticks. I was not playing spin the bottle and being super sexually aggressive or whatnot.
I wonder how much of that, though, is just like Hollywood has a tendency to overly sexualize children in some cases where
all the time.
They make it seem like younger kids are being sexually active when that's really not the case, maybe, just because it kind of plays into the type of messages they want to send about how they view the world. So I think that could probably be it. I don't anticipate knowing my daughter for her to even be thinking about stuff like that for at least a couple years. And she's 9 now, so. Well,
to me, it seemed like the movie takes a bunch of all these cliches about rom-coms or just like what we are familiar with, and it it twists it to like this extreme kind of uncomfortable way where you're just like, I can't believe they said that, or I can't believe that this is happening. And sometimes it's like they're making a joke and it doesn't work. And whereas I think it was just like, well, kids play spin the bottle, so let's make it like hypersexual because that's funny ? So.
Well, it also leads into where they're going to go with the characters and the story as a whole. And I think it probably was more about the character backstory and character building than trying to make it a joke about young kids being sexualized.
Right.
But it was still very uncomfortable.
I think I just have a super huge problem with the number 10. And it's mostly because I teach 6th grade, or I did for a long time. And so I see those 11 and 12-year-olds and I'm going, someone younger than this, that having these instances, having this sort of circumstance on them, it just is not believable to me.
And then followed by a very unexpected nudity. We had discussed before, none of us had seen this movie prior to watching it for this stupid podcast. And that was something, it just caught me super off guard. Like I didn't know what to expect. And looking back on it now, it's like, yeah, that's an on theme choice. But like in that very first scene with Dane Cook getting fellatio on a beach from a topless lady, it was like, what the did we just sign up for? Like this is not what I was expecting.
Yeah, and it had a lot of similarities to one we already watched, which is Heartbreak Kid, where it's just that raunchiness for raunch's sake. And we'll talk a little bit later about why these movies are coming out in 2007, because I have a theory.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Mike, I like what you said about them kind of just taking all the cliches and turning it up to 11.
Yeah.
One thing that they do also is they take two very high concept romantic comedy plots and kind of just jam them together to make one thing. Like you could have an entire romantic comedy where it's Jessica Alba is an awkward girl who the main character has to deal with. And you could also have your own one where it's Dane Cook dealing with the curse. But they try to jam them both together because it's like they didn't have enough belief in their main concept to feel like it had the legs to be a full movie.
They were correct.
But it also seemed like Jessica Alba's character, there wasn't much to her besides, well, she's clumsy, so let's just make her really clumsy. But I also read an interview with her in the limited amount of research that I was doing, because I was trying to find out who was originally supposed to play her character, and she was brought on at the last minute, I think. I could not find the information, although I did hear that was the case at some point. But she was excited to do physical comedy, which was why she took the part. So she was just like, oh, this is nice. I'm the moral center of the film, and I'm doing some physical comedy, which the women don't get to do. And that's usually correct.
That's true.
So I think she saw it as a progressive film, although, 13 years later, obviously that was a misstep on her part, but she was charming.
I think it's funny that you bring up that women don't typically do physical comedy. And I think that is very true when it comes to the stereotypical European looking women. If you're talking about someone like Rebel Wilson or Melissa McCarthy, they're a little bit bigger. And so that physical comedy comes through more because it's expected. They have to make that sort of statement. So it's just interesting that you brought up Jessica Alba was excited to do physical comedy because she doesn't probably get to do that very often.
Yeah. You know, it's a good movie for women doing physical comedy. Girls Trip. Have you guys seen Girls Trip? Not a 2007 movie, but that movie is super funny. And also, I mean, Tiffany Haddish kind of got her...
I love her.
Her start on that, but also that part where they pee all over everybody in New Orleans. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's gross out comedy done right.
Unfortunately, I only watched 2007 movies, so I have no idea who Tiffany Haddish is.
Oh yeah, I forgot. You're trapped in like a 2007 Groundhog Day.
Yeah, it's the rules. It's the rules.
Awful.
I have to abide.
Ben, when you said this whole awkward, clumsy, adorable female lead, I feel like this happens a lot in movies. And so I did a little bit of research, and wouldn't you know that this trope comes from Japanese anime girls?
That doesn't surprise me at all.
What? Really?
It does. So there's this trope of dojiko, which is the clumsy female lead. And there are tons of manga and anime examples. But I started thinking, okay, well, what is the Western translation of this? Because with Japan in anime, it's like this, we're adorable because we trip and because we have chaos and things that happen to us. So that is the whole reason. But in the Western culture of the United States or Canada, I guess, it's more to just make audiences chuckle. Like, oh, she's really hot. Oh, but she's more relatable because she is a klutz. Or they usually have to give her something else that she's good at, that she's smart or bookish. And this is kind of a woman trope that I didn't really realize is very prominent until I started doing some digging. There's like Bridget Jones, Princess Diaries, Mia in Princess Diaries, even Tonks from Harry Potter. They don't show it, but you know, I was like going through some of these things. Bella Swan, Buffy from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But I don't think this trope works well with men very often.
I mean, I disagree. I think if you look at like John Belushi being that physical comedian for someone his size, and then you get Chris Farley following in his shadows, like there's that idea of men being clumsy more because they're overweight than because like to make them relatable. Like the fat funny guy.
Right. And so for me, I think this is more of a, like, this is a really sexy woman, so let's bring her down a peg because she's awkward and clumsy.
Why is that even bringing down a peg? Like, that's being awkward and clumsy, I think, is not like a negative trait.
Right. And I agree with that. I think I'm super uncomfortably awkward and clumsy, and I have bruises all over my legs from running into my coffee table. But I'm talking like in relation to our main character, Dane Cook. I'm not saying Dane Cook is like ugly for any reason. I'm saying that Dane Cook probably would not have had a chance with this Jessica Alba character unless she had something that was like bringing her a little bit more to his level. Can I offer a fan theory?
Absolutely.
Because, yeah, she's very clumsy in the movie, almost like to an unbelievable degree where you're just like, yeah, get it over with. Like, who cares? Like, if you're going to just trip over something, it's not funny. But I also, as someone who saw Jessica Alba in person during the filming of the movie, she's very short. So she has a low center of gravity. So it's kind of unbelievable that she would be so clumsy. So I feel like there's something else going on. Like she has some like undiagnosed vertigo or something.
I'd like to point out that Mike just self-identified as a fan of this movie. So that is officially on record.
Oh, yeah, right. Oh, no. If only this wasn't being recorded. Because, and also, like, I read an interesting take on this film on Letterboxd where someone was talking about how he was cursed, yes, but also it was a traumatic experience for him as a child. And so the way that him and his friend are acting, and as they're basically sexual predators, it's like how it's their response to this trauma that they experienced early in their life. And it's like there's psychology that has gone like unexamined. And so it's basically like someone who has not diagnosed her vertigo with someone who hasn't diagnosed his trauma, just kind of like crashing into each other and just seeing how that goes. So if you take the magic out of the movie, because it's all explained with the magic, but that's just like something to make the audience buy into it. But it could be something deeper. The movie is saying something deeper, basically.
Or trying to.
I don't actually believe that.
What is that penguin right there?
That's a gentoo. One of several species of penguin that is completely monogamous. I hope that answers your question. Oh, and penguins are unique in that mate selection is up to the female.
Much like our relationship.
Meanwhile, Stu, played by Dan Fogler, Charlie's best friend, he notices that many women have taken an interest in Charlie as a good luck charm and encourages him to capitalize on it. However, after he has all the sex he could ever want with numerous women, Charlie decides he wants a serious relationship with Cam, the penguin girl, but needs to break this curse before having sex with her. So he has his friend Stu attempt to break the curse by avoiding the sexual lure of an obese woman.
Yeah, you mentioned that he has all the sex he could ever want with numerous women, and that is shown to us through what felt like an interminably long montage of sex and sexual positions. I know we watched the unrated version, so we saw a little bit of the extra stuff. Mike, did you watch the unrated version as well?
I didn't know there was such a thing. I watched it on Amazon Prime Video. So whatever Prime Video was offering me,
that's also what I watched. And if that wasn't the unrated version,
the unrated version really it's got all that same sex stuff. But there's one scene that they add in of him having sex with a very Christian girl. Did you guys see that scene?
I did not.
I don't think so.
Where she's talking dirty during the sex, but it's actually her praying.
She's going, "Oh God!
Oh no, I did see that
Jesus
scene.
Jesus Christ!"
I did see that.
And then she starts getting into some praying, and then goes Amen after she orgasms.
But Wesley, did you pick up any tips from this montage? That's really what I want to know.
I'm assuming you're referring to filmmaking and not sex. And
I am, of course.
Yes, I did. So you mentioned how long it went. And one of the things I noticed, especially when they did their visual montage on the screen or collage, they reused sex scenes in that collage. Like it wasn't all new hookups or anything. So I thought, why is this going on so long? You're even re-showing things you've already showed us just for the sake of boobs.
I assume where you're going is that you actually went through figuring out how many different sexual experiences he had, and you're going to now explain that to us, right?
I took notes. I did laugh at the George W. tattooed over the bush.
I did too.
Yeah, right.
Dane crossing his arms in defiance when the woman was shopping for her wedding dress, I thought was also pretty funny during that scene. So it was long and painful for the tone and the setting of what was going on during that montage, but there were some gems in there, and also some uncomfortable parts about having relations with a lesbian and making some uncomfortable un-PC comments. But
yeah, I was gonna say I didn't count how many sexual partners he had, but at some point he had hundreds of voicemails because all these women want to fuck him so that they can get married right after and meet their dream guy. That's the whole premise of the curse. And there at one point, I was going to say there are 16 different women that he's having sex with. And I was like, okay, this is insane. This needs to stop. But there were a lot of small little funny jabs that I actually laughed at. Like you said, Wesley, the George W. Bush bit. And maybe it's because at the time Bush was president and that's why I thought it was really funny. But as I was watching this montage, they had some things that were really not okay. Like you said, the non-PC stuff. For example, the one woman that had transitioned from his high school or something, and, his disgusted face, Dane's disgusted face, I was so disappointed. But I guess that was the humor in 2007.
It absolutely was, yeah.
There's a string of that throughout the entire movie, which I don't know how to encompass all of it into one concise thought, but I wrote down they dropped the R word, they dropped the F word that isn't fuck, that transphobic.
Oh, I missed that one.
Reaction. They do a ton of fat shaming later on, and then even calling him gay because he's not seeing her in person, and questioning sexuality just because he doesn't want to break this curse. It's a theme in this movie, and I think it was just the theme in that time. But it's so apparent now in our current climate.
Yeah, I would like to point out that this movie is terrible, but it could have been worse.
Yeah, it could have been Heartbreak Kid.
Oh, go on.
Yeah.
No, I'm not kidding you. I read the entire script to this movie, and it could
When?
have been worse. This morning, I read it.
Oh, wow.
So I have 10 things that they changed. Number 1, they were going to have that spin the bottle scene exponentially longer. Number 2, they have the police involved in multiple cases. One, when Dane Cook's character is on the beach and for some reason his clothes wash away. And so they arrest him for being naked on the beach. He also gets thrown in jail for showing his penis to the goth girl later in the movie. He also gets pulled over for speeding and running red lights when he's chasing to try to get to the airport. So there's a heavy presence of police. Number 3, Charlie goes to the Playboy Mansion in the sex montage.
Oh, okay.
But Stu follows him and gets kicked out. And so you don't actually see anything. It's just from Stu's perspective. Number 4, they almost have sex for the first time in the park. Number 5, when they do finally have sex, they do make a sex tape. This is where that thing comes from. But let me tell you, it's filmed beautifully. This is the most romantic thing ever. And then they watch their sex tape and it's just this terrible, awful thing.
Okay, that's a funny joke.
It is, but it's long. It's super long. Number 6. So she randomly gets pulled over by a cop. And so Charlie speeds past and yells at the cop. And so he gets put in jail for that too. Like I said, he goes to jail a lot of times. Number 7, when he's in his crazy stalker phase, he writes "I love you" with a U on the glass case of the Penguin exhibit with lipstick, but it's backwards. So they make a plural uvula joke. I don't know. It's super dumb.
What the audience can't hear right now is the three of our faces as Emily is listing all of these in just pure disgust. But I also want to remind the three of us who are listening to this, we didn't have to watch this. So
No, you
we should
didn't.
be happy right now.
That's true.
Yeah.
Right. Number 8, when he's in jail for one of the moments, there's a 400-pound man that is his cellmate. And when he learns that Charlie has this curse, he tries to have sex with him.
Sure.
Number 9, they show Charlie and Cam's wedding. We start with a wedding, we end with a wedding. Apparently that's a thing. And 10, they show for the end credits scene, they change it so that Stu and his new girlfriend wife actually find their real sex tape, not the Penguin thing, where Cam has a zillion sex toys, there's spilled lube everywhere, there's really bad dirty talk on Charlie's end, and he farts a lot, and Charlie's crying a ton. So, this could have been worse.
A lot of those jokes don't even make sense.
Yep.
Right.
I mean, a lot of the jokes in the actual film didn't make sense, but also the police thing is so strange. Why always go back to the police? What is the movie trying to say about?
He gets bailed out 3 times by Stu.
Oh, so it's a commentary on the penal system and how bail bonds work.
No, I think it's maybe that was an attempt to make Stu less of a piece of shit human, because he really has very few redeeming qualities in the movie that I watched.
Also, the film was directed by a guy whose main job is he's a film editor. Mm-hmm. That's his job. So, I mean, mercifully cut all that stuff out. Maybe they filmed it.
I did not dislike the editing in this movie. I will say that.
Yeah, I actually thought the editing was a good part of this movie.
Mm-hmm. Another thing I liked, and you might disagree with me, is that I actually found Dane Cook pretty damn charming in this movie.
Oh, I did too. Especially
the part where he's having sex with his receptionist. You could tell that there was a lot of hurt inside of her, and he was really doing something selflessly by being willing to have sex with her. So, I don't know. I found that very endearing that, even though it's this thing that he could really take advantage of, and he does do that, there's also some part of him that is doing this for the people he's with.
Yeah, her saying you can picture a different woman if you want, and that was a nice thing to make it be no, you're beautiful this. I'm gonna picture you.
Yeah,
I definitely did have thoughts throughout the movie, since this maybe it's not the acting, maybe it's the story and the dialogue. But Dane Cook is absolutely, in my opinion, the best acting in this movie. And whether that's just the character and how he was written for the story, I don't know. We could debate that if we want, but I think I totally agree that he was a highlight.
I really did like Dane Cook, especially in that scene where Reba, his receptionist, is coming on to him. I did not like how they tried to make it into this, again, sexual aggressive trauma of her trying to assault him. Although I don't think they had any respect for her character anyway, because here's another thing from the script. They described Reba as picture Queen Latifah if she ate Oprah.
Whoa.
That's just bad script writing.
That's awful.
It's really more of a casting note than anything. You don't need that in the script.
Yep.
Looking so crazy, you're looking so crazy, got me looking so crazy, you're love.
Uh-oh, got it. Got me going so penguin right now. Woo! Raise the habitat.
The morning after Charlie and Cam fuck for the first time, Charlie discovers Stu didn't actually help him break the curse when he sees the obese woman he slept with on TV with her fiancé. Charlie goes stalker crazy to keep Cam from dating anyone else and ends up driving her away, but eventually lets her go to be with her true love, a famous penguin researcher. When Cam leaves for Antarctica with her dream man, Charlie runs to the airport with a last-ditch attempt.
Why do so many rom-coms end at airports?
Because it's a symbol of separation and distance.
That's so deep.
There's literally a monologue about this at the beginning of Love Actually.
Yep.
Watch Love Actually. It'll give you your answer.
Yeah.
No,
right.
I was going to say, why are there so many romantic comedy tropes? Anyway, there's so many of them, and it's obnoxious.
Well, what's interesting about those is that for a long time, romantic comedies were just female leads and movies made for women. And then in 2005, we really had the first major turn towards romantic comedies for guys. And the thing I teased earlier that I wanted to talk about is that Hollywood tends to have these trends or movies that break out. And then 2 years later, a whole bunch of these types of movies come out to try to capitalize on, oh, this movie was successful. Let's all quick make one that's like that. So two movies that came out in 2005 that I feel are direct influences on this glut of male-centered romantic comedies that we see in 2007 between Heartbreak Kid, this one, and Knocked Up, is Wedding Crashers came out that year. I think that Sex Montage was entirely influenced by Wedding Crashers. It's that beginning scene where they're just crushing and you see all the topless women. And the second one is 40-Year-Old Virgin. So I think we've just got, this just happens to be the year that this glut of people trying to capitalize on this new success in Hollywood, like that's why these movies came out.
Well, this movie, it felt like it was attempting to spin off what the Farrelly brothers had kind of accomplished in the late 90s, where they kind of perfected the gross out comedy with Something About Mary, or maybe even just started the trend, I guess, because I did notice when I was looking up this movie on the internet, there was some posters for this film, some teaser posters, and they even used the line, "There's something about Jessica" on the poster. So it seemed like it was trying to pay some sort of weird, loose tribute to There's Something About Mary or the Farrelly brothers. But it's interesting that you bring up the Heartbreak Kid, because like that was, if you think the Farrelly brothers, who kind of created the gold standard for gross out sex comedies, they failed at it the same year that Good Luck Chuck came out, which is weird.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. That's a great point.
I did want to bring up, because we didn't talk about it the last act, the obese woman, speaking of gross humor.
I just felt so bad.
I don't know. That was really uncomfortable, but also it was just sad. It was like this, they are exploiting this, and I felt really uncomfortable. You know, she's eating this lobster tail and she's covered in just green gunk. And they're making fun of her back knee and front acne and side acne.
They double and triple down on making sure you know just how disgusting this human being is. From the moment we see her for the first time, she's laying next to a pool with a literal garbage bag full of donuts.
I'd like that.
That's fine to like that. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing either.
No,
but
I meant
like
I
in
would
a
like
movie,
that. I want that.
Yeah, and I'm saying anybody else listening, like that's not a bad thing. If you want to have a garbage bag full of donuts, then have a garbage bag full of donuts. But like to make that a character trait from the introduction of a person. I know we had talked about this in a previous episode, but it's kind of that Monopoly Man thing again, where the writer of this movie has put in a note that this person is fat and disgusting, and so much so that they eat the garbage bag full of donuts while they're lounging by the pool. And I just hated it.
At the same time, though, we wouldn't see representations like this in movies if the person didn't agree to be that part in this movie. That woman chose to be in this movie knowing full well that that's how she was going to be seen and treated.
Yeah, it's wild that someone agreed to it having read the script.
Right.
And they probably didn't even get paid that much, so that makes it all the more kind of depressing.
It's wild that anyone agreed to be a part of this script after what I read to all of you. I was reading an interview with Dane Cook and I think MTV or someone, I don't remember who it was, but back in 2008, Jessica Alba just distanced herself from this film and was like, they portrayed it so terribly. But after filming, Dane Cook and Jessica Alba and Dan Fogler, they all felt like they had done a really good job. They felt like this was actually going to be something fun and silly and heartwarming at the same time, which I actually really liked the relationship between Cam and Charlie. I felt like there was a lot of chemistry between them. I felt like it could have been a lot better than it was. But I don't know, just reading what Dane Cook talked about, he made a comment of, we all read the script. We all knew what we were getting into. Mm-hmm. And we all wanted to be a part of it, especially Jessica.
I don't know if anybody else is aware of Dane Cook's personal life. His half brother was in charge of his money. And from 2004 to 2008, his half brother embezzled millions and millions of dollars into his own personal accounts directly from Dane Cook. 2007 was right around peak Dane popularity. And kind of right after that, he just got completely hosed in his entire financial life and kind of dropped off the map. We did all like Dane Cook in this movie, and I think it'd be really interesting to see where he would have gone in his career had he not been financially crippled.
Yeah, I mean, this was around the time when he was selling out arenas for his like theater in the round type comedy shows. Like he was huge at this time. So we're not talking about a little sum of money.
No.
Him for this movie probably made $1 million tops, but he was making tens of millions of dollars on his comedy tours.
Yeah.
He's a really funny guy. I remember really loving him. Like anybody that was in college in the mid 2000s was at least knew about Dane Cook and probably had quotes from a couple of his specials.
Yeah, I'm sure his downfall, if we want to call it that, is linked to just the amount of effect that having someone close to you like that betray you probably had on him, in addition to a shifting PC culture that kind of is against what type of comedy he did at the time. Like he was a very vulgar sexual comedian, and that type of stuff today wouldn't fly. And I think he's a really talented guy. I don't think he has the comedic chops to be able to transition to the comedy scene that you would see today.
Mike, you're a stand-up comedian, or you were, right? What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Well, did you ever see, in 2009, actually, Dane Cook came out with a stand-up special called Intimate Encounter. And it was him performing at the Comedy Store, but they just there was nobody in it. Or maybe no, there was a small crowd, but it was like basically a really intimate show. And he talked a lot about his personal life, like his family troubles, like I think one or both of his parents died, or sometime around that time. So it was like a really cool thing to see. And so I thought that after that, Dane Cook was going to kind of become he was just solidified as a classic stand-up in the vein of Steve Martin or Robin Williams, but he just kind of disappeared for some reason. I don't know. And, but I remember loving his comedy briefly in college. Yeah. And then this movie came out, and then My Best Friend's Girl. And I think his cinematic career was destroyed after that. But I think it's because both of those movies misinterpret what a likable character is, because they're both so hateful.
Yeah, and there's actually a movie from 2007 that I think perfectly utilizes Dane Cook's acting ability, and that's Dan in Real Life.
Oh yeah,
he is so good in that movie. And I wish that instead of trying to make him the male lead in things, they just let him be a supporting character in the background, because he is a very likable guy and can play that everyman role.
Well, it's interesting that in the third act of this film, bringing it back to just this particular act that we're discussing, Dane Cook is basically just doing his stand-up act. You know, the character shifts so dramatically in the third act, where he's this really frenetic, kind of like scrambly voiced weirdo psycho kind of guy, which works in a stand-up comedy setting, but it doesn't really work with the dialogue that he's given.
Yeah, it definitely went a little too much for me. You know, him being this stalker character of jumping out of a box with this penguin suit with a barbershop quartet and having balloons in Cam's locker and having an almost married thing on his car. It just, the more frantic he got, the more I started hating this movie more, which I didn't think was possible.
But that was why we grew to love Dane Cook initially, and somehow the movie got that wrong, you know? That's weird.
Well, that's kind of interesting, because I from hearing interviews with him and other comedians and other people talk about Dane Cook, like, from everything I know, and this could be wrong, but like, he's a nice guy, and his comedy persona of being so out there, like Ben, you were talking about, I think likely would have evolved with the times. Like, I have faith that could have changed, but like, I think that's also interesting that Dan in real life, like, he's able to pull off that nice, likable character because he's not that comedian that we all knew from 2004 and 5 when he had those huge comedy specials.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised they saved the 3 boob reveal till the end credits. It seemed kind of like a waste of such a, I guess, a prosthetic effect.
Right. So Stu is fallen in love with this perfect woman for him because he does boob jobs. And so she has 3 boobs. And then the end credits, they basically house sit while Cam and Charlie are off in Antarctica looking at penguins and stuff. And they find a sex tape, but it's not the one that I talked about in the script. Does anyone want to talk about it? Because I don't.
So I'll part the curtain. We discuss often as we are individually watching the movies, and as I was watching this, Emily and Ben had already seen it, and I got a message saying, "Boy, I can't wait for you to see the end credit scene." So again, another parallel to Heartbreak Kid, who has one of the most disturbing post-credit scenes I've ever seen. I was on high alert for what this was going to be. And while disturbing, and I guess I'll walk us through this uncomfortably, I guess. So basically on the tape, it's Dane Cook laying on the bed with a penguin stuffed animal, and he performs multiple different fellatio acts, different angles on this stuffed penguin.
And gets like really into it.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was going to be a, haha, we got you guys kind of thing. Where it's like, haha, you were trying to find our sex tape, but you'll never find it because this is a joke. But then they took it seriously, and he's like jamming his tongue into a stuffed penguin's ass. All right, Wesley, we're turning it over to you.
These are just a few of our incredible thoughts.
The L word? What are you, 8? How about the F word and the U word? That doesn't make any fucking sense, because U starts with a Y. I was fucking pissed from the beginning of this movie. I hated it. All right. Hot wax would not burn him through those pants that quickly. She's a penguin freak just because she knows that they don't live on the North Pole. So I guess that makes me a rhinoceros freak. So I'm not a mechanic, so maybe I'm wrong with this one. But that's not how jumping a car works. Her hitting the gas would not rev a dead engine and send a huge surge into Dane Cook. Also, if he was holding the cables correctly, he wouldn't be shocked even if that was the case, because you're not supposed to be touching the metal. Also, it's a Prius, so that's just kind of ironic, right? The physics of her skirt getting caught in that door makes zero sense. It was caught way too high on the door. Then when he opens the door, the entire skirt is inside the car. Come on. I had watched it 3 or 4 times just to make sure I was getting the physics right. Do do people really pursue dating that hard? Like, I'm really bad at dating, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. I'll take that as a note for myself.
I mean, I just said, hey, I'm interested in you. And then, we dated. So that was it.
Must be nice. My last note is I've never understood why in romantic movies they have hundreds of candles lit. Like, that would take so long to set up, light each one, and then also blow out. Like, I feel like that would just take me right out of it.
Leaf blower.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay,
That's
so we've
good.
solved the back half. How do you? Let's hear your pitch for how to light 100 candles at once.
Be a firebender.
Yeah, I was thinking like a firecracker single fuse that you can just light one end and then it'll just go to all of them.
No, you just gotta be Zuko and be a firebender. Done.
I'm going with Zuko. Because even Ben, yours makes sense, but that's still a lot of pre-work to get that all tied up.
Well,
and what are you just going to let it go along the floor and leave a burn?
Sex takes a lot of pre-work.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I've been doing wrong.
Dad joke. Stu is not Chuck's best friend. It's his breast friend.
Oh my God. My eye roll gave me a headache.
See, Mike liked it.
My
audience is Mike, not you guys.
I thought that was good. Yeah, that was a very solid dad joke. I wish Stu would have made jokes like that instead of just like unbelievably disturbing like sexual references. Yeah, he was a unsettling character.
I think in a PG-13 version of this movie, that's what it would have been.
Yeah.
But they wanted to go for the hard R.
Now it's time for me to rant. That's my hard R today.
Well, I have a microphone and you don't.
So you will listen to every damn word I have to say!
I want to go back and touch on the awkward, clumsy woman trope. And I just want to rant about how this is one of the most lazy piece of writing when it comes to characterization of any characters ever, specifically female. But I don't know. I felt that they were highlighting this childlike klutz. And again, Ben talked about over-sexualizing with Hollywood. And I felt like that was part of it, where, this klutz is funny and quirky, but she's really hot. And so they're sexualizing this childlike innocence, kind of. But also the treatment of those women as this spectacle, as, they're tripping, they're falling, they're dropping things, they're falling into a pool and hitting their mouth and breaking their tooth. It's this huge spectacle that's shot from the male gaze. And it's always this situation of, we're going to try to make her this huge spectacle for us to gawk at because, and like I said earlier, we're bringing her down a peg. And so I'm really annoyed that filmmakers and writers treat women like this way to attract attention from the audience rather than focusing on a character building of some sort.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And now Mike is going to tell us what he thought of Good Luck Chuck.
All right, so here's my prepared review. So Good Luck Chuck is a by-the-numbers rom-com that wastes a half-clever premise by filling its overlong runtime with mean-spirited jokes and unlikable one-dimensional characters. The film attempts every single cliche of modern rom-coms and consistently fails to understand what makes those cliches work, and emerges as a borderline satire of the gross-out rom-comedy, if it was going for satire. It portrays a warped alternate reality where women are monogamy-obsessed and men are villainous sex predators. Good Luck Chuck's release is the hateful first movement in a grotesque symphony of the end times for the romantic comedy, with Dane Cook emerging in his supposed star-making turn as the unwitting antichrist of the genre. So, 1 grapefruit out of 10 because his friend would always have sex with grapefruits.
Oh, I forgot about that. Why did you bring that up?
I wrote it down, but I didn't want to say it.
Mike, that was delightful. Thank you.
It was a lot of fun to write. I tried to keep it in the style of your reviews on the podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate
it. I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
So before we jump into our battle today, one of our questions requires that each of the opponents gives the other one a drama. So, does anybody want to go first?
I'll go first. So, Mike, the drama I'm giving you is you're going to be working with the movie Moonlight. Have you seen Moonlight?
I have, yes.
Wonderful.
Oh boy.
Mike, what do you got for Ben?
So I will give you Inception by Christopher Nolan in honor of Tenet coming out and I guess getting people sick.
And now it's time to play Battle of the Lucky Chucks. I will pose 3 rounds of quirky questions to our less than penguin experts, let them try to convince me who is the one to sleep with in order to find my true love, and then I will declare who will be getting free dental work. The winner of each round will receive 1 baby gravy. Second place will receive 0 man chowder.
Oh.
I will be more easily persuaded by the fun and creative answers. I'm just going to say it. After the cock cupid emerges from the pile of used condoms, we will update our leaderboard.
I'm just going to say it.
I wrote it and I was like, I can't say that.
You just did.
Yep, it's recorded now. This will be the first week that a guest has the opportunity to put some points on the board. So that'll be fun. Nice. And just to catch everybody up again, we are currently tied at 2 points each for Matt, Ben, and myself. So, Lucky Chucks, are you ready?
Yeah.
I am ready.
All right. I unfortunately feel like Dane Cook was the best actor in this movie, but put in the mix with another cast that might not be the same story. So your opponent gave you a drama of their choice that I would like you to put Dane Cook in. And we're going to start with Ben, and Mike gave you Inception.
Yeah, so I feel the movie Inception's lacking a couple things that prevent it from being truly great. The first is that it's overly serious, and by adding Dane Cook and providing him with the ability to lighten the tension a bit, especially in the first and second act, which can get a little long before the real action starts happening, the movie will be more enjoyable. The second is that Inception is a heist movie, so where the fuck is the wild card member of the heist? Well, Dane Cook will be that wild card member as Drake, the wisecracking member of the Inception team who's in charge of driving the van in the first level of the dreams. Throughout the movie, he'll make snide comments about the science of incepting, as he is more about the real-world skill of driving and general wild cardness.
General wild cardness.
In the first act, as he is recruited to the team, he will ask if Cobb can incept a sex dream into him. This creates a lighter tone for the beginning of the movie, which tends to get bogged down in its own seriousness.
Oh, all right.
Nice.
I don't really have any questions for you on this. I already reacted to my wild cardness.
Wild cardness is good. So, Mike, you got Moonlight. So let's hear how Dane Cook shows up in Moonlight.
So, Moonlight. Dane Cook, of course, plays the main character, Chiron. In my reimagining of the Oscar-winning film, the movie is still a drama and is still about a character confronting the intersection of his masculinity and his sexuality. Dane Cook plays the lead character in a brilliant acting turn with subtlety and grace, and he wins an Oscar for his performance as the adult Chiron. No homophobic jokes are made. In fact, the film maintains its tender portrayal of man coming to grips with his sexuality amongst a supportive community and a fractured family dynamic. The film allows Dane Cook to atone for his sins for making Good Luck Chuck and My Best Friend's Girl. And he begins a second phase of his career, becoming a world-class actor the likes not seen since Meryl Streep. Wow. He's lauded for his portrayal of all 3 versions of Chiron, using the groundbreaking special effects and camera tricks to make Dane Cook appear to be a child, a teenager, and an adult. Dane also, this is for the bonus points, Dane also gets a writing credit by throwing in a quip from his stand-up act in the diner scene at the end, where he discusses his criminal life with his former lover, and he says, I always wanted to do a B&E, not bacon and eggs, although I could go for bacon and eggs. I'm talking about breaking and entering. Although in the original movie, he's a drug dealer, not a guy who breaks and enters, I assume. So
awesome.
That was more about the meta story of Dane Cook's career, I guess, than the actual film. But
I loved it so much. That was ridiculous.
I mean, you got handed Moonlight, so good job.
And then allowing Dane Cook
hard.
to atone for his sins.
He needs it because he had so much promise. He was promised to be like the next Steve Martin, and then he kind of just dissolved.
Well, it's not too late. Maybe someday. Alrighty, question 2. These days, I don't answer phone calls from anyone who I don't know their number unless they leave me a voicemail. And Chuck was neck deep in them, and I want you to add to that pile. So please create a voicemail for Chuck from a movie character of your choosing that's pitching themselves to be Chuck's sexual partner. One of many, of course. Now we're going to start with Mike. So let's hear it.
Okay. I'll just begin. Hey, Chuck, this is Batman. I don't know how to put this. I haven't had a lot of luck with the ladies. Every woman I am romantically involved with, they're either killed or they become a supervillain, or they just disappear when the next villain comes around. I'm hoping that maybe you can come over here and have sex with me, Batman, in the Batcave. And then maybe that might turn my luck around. Maybe Vicky Vale will come back to me if we have sex. I don't know. If you would even go for this, but I just thought I should try. Is this dumb? Did I make a mistake? Oh, damn it. Damn it, maybe I shouldn't have called. Just ignore this, okay? Just please act like you didn't get a call from Bruce Wayne. I mean, Batman. I'm Batman, not Bruce Wayne. Oh, damn it. Oh, I'm so stupid. It's just, I'm so lonely. I'm a lonely bat guy, Chuck. I gotta go. And then he hangs up the bat phone. Also, Christopher Nolan.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Just a lonely bat guy.
Just a lonely bat guy.
And the voice just escalated your answer even more. I don't know what I was expecting from that, but I was not expecting Batman. Wow.
No, I didn't bring it up
lonely
because we kind of moved on from it, but I wanted to take us on a tangent in the first half of the episode. We're talking about, would this work for men as well? And I think we now have our answer, at least that other men would want it to.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
I also love that you made it sound like a voicemail because that's what my rambling voicemails sound like.
Ben, what do you got?
Hey, Chuck, it's Sidney Prescott. You've probably heard of me from the news and all. I could really use your skills to help me. It seems that all my boyfriends keep dying or turning out to be killers, which is just super annoying. Because how can a girl ever get married with that shit constantly happening? I think that your luck could really help me get over the hump, though. I can't guarantee that you won't be tragically murdered, but who can? That's a silly guarantee. Plus, I think you'll enjoy the sexual adventures we could have. I love to role play, but no masks. A girl can never be too safe. Enough is enough. I've had to deal with this 4 times in my life, and I really can't imagine going through this a 5th time. That's just not something I want any part of. Anyway, give me a call. Sidney Prescott.
That was very accurate.
Thank you.
Question 3. This movie might have bitten off a little too much plot, but I like the initiative. I want you to mash up 2 plots from rom-coms that already exist into one new movie with an original cast. And we're going to start with Ben.
In a world where AI interfaces permeate all of society, a depressed popular high school student takes a bet that he can turn a nerdy AI into the prom queen at their school. Mark, played by Nick Robinson, believes that he is so cool that he can turn even the nerdiest at school into the prom queen, but his friend Brad, played by Ansel Elgort, bets him that he can't and chooses the nerdy AI Laura, voiced by Zendaya, as Mark's project. Through Mark's interactions with Laura, he begins to see the beauty in her and falls in love with her. But a boy falling in love with an AI, and a nerdy one at that? What will the people at school think? This balance between Mark's popularity and his budding feelings for Laura are in constant conflict until Mark is able to teach Laura how to be cool and beautiful to all, not just him, through dialect coaching and personality training. No longer does Laura talk about nerdy things like existentiality and art, but now she talks about things people find cool, like sports games and TikTok vines. Plus, she now talks super sexy. She is truly the whole package. Is this enough for her to win prom queen? Will Mark realize that his feelings for her are all the bet winnings he needs? Will the AIs all leave at the end as a conscious act of setting people free from technological dependence? Yes to all of those. The title of my movie is Hers All That.
Nice.
I wasn't exactly sure what the mashup was. I was trying to figure it out.
I knew it was her.
I knew it was She's All That. So that's really funny.
Wesley.
It was good that you revealed it right at the end. That made it. That was the
chef's kiss.
Yeah,
the spaghetti kiss.
Yeah,
That was so good.
I think my question is, because I've never seen She's All That. Is there any sort of realization of like that's not a good thing to change a nerdy girl into this like sexual cool kid?
I mean, the thing about that movie is that like she was beautiful the whole time, and that's kind of what the guy realizes at the end, and that you're not defined by your outer appearance, but your inward personality.
Right.
That's kind of the point of She's All That.
Right, but in this one, Laura, the AI, she's just a voice, so she changed her complete personality.
Yeah, she changed her personality because she can't change physically.
So what
They're
are we?
kind of the same movie.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Absolutely. That's
You're great at that.
If only She's All That was a bad movie, though.
I know
Yeah.
it's good. I like it.
So is Zendaya also the physical actress who's
Zendaya?
playing this part?
There is no physical actress.
It's the voice.
It's a voice.
Your
She's an
voice.
AI.
It's an OS.
Yeah.
Zendaya is no longer Michi. She's OS. You know?
I do know, yeah.
Or maybe the Michi is the name of the OS. I don't know.
Oh, I should.
But-
That's a great crossover. I should have had that.
All right, I don't have any more for Ben. Mike, let's hear your answer.
All right. So mine is a straight to video rom-com.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's called My Best Friend's Wedding Crashers. And there are two guys who crash weddings in hope of getting some random hookups, but they meet a woman who is at the same time sabotaging her best friend's wedding so that she can marry him. One of the two guys falls in love with the woman, and she realizes in their relationship she's a bit too obsessive, and he realizes that he is too sex obsessed. So they give up their games. Later, when they're going to get married, and her old best friend shows up as a surprise with a bunch of sexy women, they both feel compelled through Pavlovian response to their old ways. They must fight their urges to crash/sabotage their own wedding. And in the end, they realize that they're both broken people and they bond over that. So they eventually decide it is best to elope privately, which they do. And then they live happily ever after, never going to one of those nefarious weddings again. Starring Sean William Scott and Amy Smart. And their best friend in the movie is played by Snoop Dogg.
Perfect.
And that's just the casting I wanted. I just wanted that casting. Because remember Sean William Scott and Amy Smart? They don't make movies anymore. Yeah.
It's a nice little road trip reunion.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Road trip. Right.
Wait.
You know,
Actually, I'm going to change the best friend to Tom Green.
Perfect.
I love Tom Green.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Canadian treasure.
Tom Green.
Oh, he is a Canadian treasure. Yeah.
So I love
God, I
that
love
you
Sean William
said
Scott.
that it's a straight to video, because I'm not kidding you. When I was in high school, we went to the video store, and I think this is definitely a movie that one of my friends would have picked up and said, "You should watch this."
Yeah. I guess it'd be straight to VOD these days.
Right.
No, this one's still straight to VHS.
Yes.
So, question one. You guys gave each other movies to put Dane Cook into. Ben, you got Inception from Mike. I really liked the way that you described Dane's prose as ways of filling gaps in what you thought Inception was lacking. The wild cardness and the sex Inception were very funny. Mike, you got Moonlight. I loved the B&E joke, but the kind of meta Dane Cook career trajectory was a little more immersive in like the story plot of the movie and how he adds to the movie itself. So we're giving that one to Ben.
Oh.
They're both good answers, and don't worry too much because Batman was one of my favorite answers I've ever heard. It was perfect. The voicemail style, the way you read it, the stumbling, the slip up of Bruce Wayne, and hopefully Vicky Vale will come back. Sex in the Batcave is very evocative. So I loved it. Ben, I think you had a really good like character choice, but I just think Mike's answer, both how it was written, delivered, and like how kind of descriptive it was just top to bottom hilarious. So that one is going to Mike.
I thought it was really funny that Mike and I, our both central conceit was that all of our boyfriends or girlfriends keep dying or turning evil. It was like that was the central point of both of us.
But basically, Batman and his Sidney Prescott should hook up. Because they have a lot in common.
Yeah.
Maybe after they both left voicemails for Dane Cook and they hook up with him, maybe they meet each other as they're leaving. It's perfect. Let's write that movie.
No, let's not.
Question 3 was to mash up 2 plots of existing rom-coms. Ben, you mashed up Her and She's All That. Loved the title. I think the casting was phenomenal. And I like the kind of new age twist to what She's All That combined with Her does. I think that would actually be a viable story. Mike, you mashed up My Best Friend's Wedding and Wedding Crashers, which anybody who follows our Instagram and has seen me mash Sky High and High Fidelity together knows that I am super appreciative of a true mashup of those kind of titles. The way you described your movie and the resolve felt like really beautiful and well thought out and a really good movie. And I really want to see it. So I'm going to give that one to Mike, which means Mike is going to win this one 2-1.
Awesome. Great job,
Thank
Mike.
you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. You were great
good.
too.
Oh,
I had no idea what was going to happen. I really loved your mashup. It was so good.
Thank you. I thought changing She to Her. I thought that was that's
I
so
know.
clever.
It was good.
You're very clever, Ben.
I think I unfortunately got a little bit taken out of the big feel of your answer, Ben, because of adding in the character names as you said them. So it kind of took me out of the story to force me to think about who was in it. But you're right. Hers All That was great, but it was the last thing. So at that point, I was already kind of on the fence.
Yeah.
Nah, Wesley's just weird. I loved it, but I liked Mike's more. So.
Well, thank you. And you can add my points to Matt's because
no, we are not doing
interchangeable,
that.
right? Okay.
No, Matt/Mike because Mike's going to replace Matt.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
duh.
We're interchangeable.
Okay.
So he's he doesn't want to be added to Matt's. He wants to take Matt's 2 points.
Yeah.
He wants
so
to do
now
Mike's
Mike, you have 4
side.
points.
I am Matt now.
All I can hear is I'm the Batman.
I'm the Matt Man.
And the and the voice that you did, everything about that was perfect. So, Mike, again, thank you so much for being on I Drink Your podcast. We feel a little connected with you because I think you started your podcast literally released on the same day as ours.
It was Tuesday. The same week, yeah, for sure, yeah.
Which is kind of fun. So, hey, thanks for being here. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about your podcast and anything else that you got going on or what's upcoming in From Justin To Kane?
Me and my friend Bob host a movie podcast called From Justin To Kane, where we mash up 2 movies. One of them a great classic film, and one of them a critically maligned terrible film, and we figure out how they're the same. So the title comes from Justin to Kelly, the American Idol movie, and Citizen Kane, and we find a lot of similarities to that in our pilot episode. And then every movie we do 2 new movies, we are basically just sticking to that format for the time being. Although I think we're going to do something special for October and with spooky movies.
Ooh,
so that'll be fun. So listen to us. We can get us wherever podcasts are. That's how podcasts are distributed. Just whatever you listen to. We tried to get on literally everything. Including some of the obscure ones. I did a lot of research, but
do you have a favorite episode that you guys have done?
Yes. Well, we have one coming up that's pretty good that I really like, where we would watch Wong Kar-wai's In the Mood for Love and Leprechaun 2. So, and it's a bit of a stretch, but it works somehow. And so that one, good. I think, actually might even be coming out the same week as this episode, if I'm not mistaken. So
nice.
So that one, yeah. So look out for that. But,
I was super, super impressed listening to the first episode of Citizen Kane and From Justin to Kelly at the leaps and stretches you guys were able to make to connect these 2 movies. I was just I loved it. It was awesome.
Yeah. Aside from that, I'm in a sketch comedy troupe. We're called Marv and Barry. You can check us out on marvinberry.com. But it's spelled Marvin Berry with no I. So it's like the character from Back to the Future, but Marv Berry, as if it was a duo of people. That makes sense?
Yeah, it does.
So MARVN Berry. So yeah, check that out if you want it. That's just another thing I've got going on.
That's awesome. Well, hey, thanks again for being here. We were so excited to have you, and we might have to have you and Bob come back sometime and duke it out with our Battle of Twits competition. That would be fun.
Yes.
Maybe you can get a good movie next time.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I would like that. Although I do take a special joy in watching bad movies, which is why our podcast exists.
So you and Ben should just be best friends because he also loves that.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, I'm excited for you guys to come on our podcast whenever that is.
Yeah, should be fun. Thanks everyone for listening to us. If you could please subscribe, rate, and share, that would be great. Ben's going to tell us what next week is going to look like.
Yeah, next week we are watching the obviously 2007 movie Stardust. And we'll be having on Bros from the podcast Chatflix as our guest. And we're doing a little nimbleness with our scheduling because Bros is from Australia, which is a 15-hour time difference. So that's going to be a fun little thing that we get to navigate.
Yeah, we had to decide whether we want to get drunk at 9 a.m. or 9 p.m.
Right.
Thanks, everyone. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.